Welcome to the Honorable Prime Minister, members of the media, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, respective radio stations island-wide, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, and online viewers. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Dr. Luc Marcelino, to address you. Prime Minister Marcelino, you have the floor.
People of St. Martin, representative of the media, and also the members of the CoM, good morning. First of all, I would like to just participate about my experience in the Zero Waste in the Caribbean, a seminar that took place in St. Bart's in the past weekend, actually starting last week Thursday until Sunday. Over the past weekend, I had the honor of representing St. Martin alongside the Minister of VROMI, Mr. Patrice Gums, at the Zero Waste in the Caribbean seminar held in our sister island, St. Bart's. That was from the 15th actually to the 19th. This important regional event brought together government leaders, environmental experts, and key stakeholders to strengthen cooperation in waste management and environmental protection, to two crucial pillars in our sustainable development goals. The highlight of the seminar came on Saturday, May the 17th, when I joined several of my regional counterparts in signing a joint declaration reaffirming our shared commitment to structure a sustainable and also a organized waste management for the islands in the Caribbean. Those that co-signed this intent was the President Xavier Ledet from St. Bart's, President Louis Mussington from the French side, Minister Kyle Hodge of Anguilla, the First Vice President Jean-Philippe Courtois of Guadeloupe, also Commissioner Bruce Segers of Seba, and the Minister of VROMI of St. Martin, together with me, we were those that signed this agreement. Together, we pledge to deepen cross-border collaboration and reconvene soon to address even broader challenges, including tourism, ecological transition, and building, of course, a regional sustainable economy. Secondly, on the topic of vacation allowance, reform for civil servants expressed in a national ordinance on vacation and leave, I would also like to update the public on a major development for our civil servants. This week, Parliament unanimously approved a draft national ordinance that introduces several key changes to the vacation and exemption from service regulations for civil servants. This amendment is the result of extensive consultation between government and the unions through the Committee for Civil Servants Union, the CCSU, and follows the agreement we communicated last December. Let me outline some of the main changes now enshrined in this law. First of all, the vacation allowance will increase to 7% in 2024 and 8% in 2025. Secondly, future changes to the allowance can now be made by national decree, streamlining the process. Thirdly, a new provision grants one additional day of leave to civil servants who have served for 45 consecutive years. I want to clarify one point that was raised during the debate in Parliament. The Jubilee payments granted as a service milestone remain under the BRA, the remuneration regulations for civil servants, and this includes a half-month extra salary for at 15 and 20 years of service, 1 month's extra salary and 1 day off leave at 30 years of service, and 2 extra salaries and 1 day of leave at 45 years. For clarity's sake, the BRA has been signed and approved already on May the 29th. Let me take this opportunity to commend all civil servants, particularly those who continue to serve with distinction during the difficult COVID-19 years, when many benefits were temporarily reduced. Thirdly, I recall that I already gave an update of my travel in March to the Netherlands concerning the recruitment mission that we had, seeing the amount of vacancies that we have in our government apparatus. As I said, attended at the end of March of this year the Netherlands, and I can update you on the following. Last week, based on the overview of the candidates provided by the Department of Personnel and Organization, all ministers received an overview of the available candidates for their ministries, with a request to start the recruitment process as soon as possible. In regard to vacancies within the Department of P&O, we all understand that the department is crucial in the recruitment process. Therefore, a few weeks ago, I gave them approval to being with their recruitment process, and by the end of May, I expect at least 2 personnel advisors and 1 personnel officer to be hired for the Department of P&O. It's going to be an additional 3 persons to enforce the team of P&O of this organization. I mentioned previously that 91 individuals visited the booths and showed interest in working in St. Martin. It's quite an amount of people showed interest. In the end, a total of 67 applicants were received over the various ministries. These applicants were included in the overview I presented to the ministers. I did that last week. I gave them an overview of all the applicants. The intention is for all the ministers to have the recruitment process finished in June of this year. For now, we need to fill approximately 30 positions in the whole organization, and we are now aggressively trying, because of the applicants, the successful application amounts that we have, we are able now to hire out of these 61 persons that applied. We have the choice to actually recruit 30 of them to fill our organization, to fortify again our civil servants apparatus, realizing that we had big challenges with the filling in of the vacancies actually for a good service that government can give to the people of St. Martin. I would also like to know that 21 students showed interest in internship. That is also nice to hear. I discussed this possibility with the Department of P&O and requested an advice on how to include interns in the organization. I consider internship to be a very practical way for our students to learn about and gain experience in the functioning of government. And by doing so, we create more interest in working once they are ready with their studies to try to come and work in our government organization. A other topic is that yesterday I had the great honor to meet one-on-one with the Honorable Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Dr. Natalio Whitley. This past Monday morning, together with the Minister of TIAD and our support staff, we met with the Honorable Premier of the BVI, the British Virgin Islands, Mr. Whitley, along with his delegation, in a highly productive session to discuss areas of collaboration and cooperation based on the vision of this government. We discussed several topics. Topics that has been discussed were topics on the area of agriculture, tourism, maritime and trade and financial services for our both countries. In the afternoon, the technical team came together to discuss the technicalities of possible cooperation with the intention of drafting relevant MOUs to be signed by both governments. And of course, the last that I didn't personally give an update on, we had, of course, a week ago, we had also the successful visit of the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mr. Dick Schoof. It was a very successful mission from his side to come personally and actually get himself involved and informed about St. Martin as such, its communities, its blessings, and also its challenges. And we had a great, fruitful discussion moving forward, making sure that we are going to work on actually a more powerful kingdom based on respect, mutual understanding, and of course, a kingdom that I always say that can be strong based on not its similarities, but on its differences. Every time again, I have the opportunity to meet the delegation of the Netherlands. I tell them that it's for us time now, seeing how history went in our relationship, that we have to start working now on a kingdom not based on its similarities, but on its differences. That is what I have to share with you at this particular moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Marcelina, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to welcome and invite the Honorable Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, Richinel Brug, to address you. Minister Brug, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Roach. Blessing St. Martin. Good morning to the members of the press. My notices are as follows. As we approach the third quarter of Mental Health Awareness Month, I stand before you with deep gratitude and pride in the momentum we have created together under this year's theme, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Over the past weeks, we have been nothing short of impactful, from online conversations to in-person workshops and community outreach. We have seen a unified St. Martin raising awareness on mental wellness with compassion, urgency, and purpose. The ministry partnered with several key organizations to execute various key events in this month. The Spectrum Support Box online session entitled Parenting Through Challenges in Mental Health and Raising Children with Disabilities was held on May 14th. This online session drew robust participation from parents, caregivers, and educators island-wide. Participants were equipped with practical tools to navigate emotional and behavioral challenges, along with vital self-care strategies. Most importantly, they were remembered that they were not alone. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and many shared how this space gave them hope, validation, and confidence to seek help when needed. We thank the Spectrum Support Box for their excellent facilitation and continued dedication to advocating for special needs. On May 24, 2025, there will be another workshop focusing on mental health of our youth. The theme is When to Ring the Bell. This will be led by Ms. Peterson, an experienced clinical mental health counselor. This session is crucial, given the growing concerns we face in our country regarding youth mental health. This workshop would explore detection of early signs of distress and suicide risk, starting supportive conversation with children, connecting youths with professional help, among other things. This is about saving lives. We urge every parent, teacher, counselor, and concerned community members to attend. The sessions will be held here at the Government Administration Building on the 24th of May from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Despite the fact that the Mental Health Awareness Month is coming to an end, the Ministry of VSR will continue throughout the year to raise awareness and partner with stakeholders who are aligned with our mission and vision. Let us keep the momentum. Let us continue to build a safe place for dialogue, understanding, and healing. Let us do it together. With regard to labor affairs, on May 19th to 21st, a labor symposium was held under the theme Empowering Workers and Employers. Know Your Rights, Build Your Future. This was a very successful event. It was a platform for knowledge sharing, dialogue, and transformation in the labor sector of St. Martin. I want to take this opportunity once more to congratulate WICSU PSU and particularly the President Sharon Kanagita and the Y2 led by Ms. Roxana Pantuflet for their leadership and sacrifice that they and their team made to pull off this much impactful event. What made this symposium so great was that there were stakeholders from every sector of the labor economy: employers, employees, both private and public sector, and even regional union representatives. It was a very interactive symposium. I must applaud all the attendees that shared their opinions and concern during those 3 days. I want you to know that I see, I heard, and I appreciate you. I am definitely looking forward to the final report from the organizers. If need be, this event has to be repeated. It will have my support again. On another note, I would like to announce that the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, VSA, have published several open tenders opportunities across various departments. Interested and qualified individuals or organizations are invited to apply before the respective deadlines. The following tenders are currently open: Legislative Draftman for EVSA, Interim Head of EVSA, Project Leader of EVSA, Medical Advisor for Public Health, Organizational Development Specialist, IT System Specialist, and a Project Manager. For full details on these tenders, including scope of work and eligibility criteria, please visit the official government website of St. Martin. Continuing with the aspect of labor, the Division of Labor Affairs and Social Services, in collaboration with Zheng Sheng Construction Company, pardon me if I didn't say the correct name, it's a Chinese name, is pleased to announce a construction registration drive on Saturday, May 31st, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Labor Affairs Lobby, ground floor of the Government Administration Building. If you are a Dutch national or a permanent resident holder with specialized skills set in the field of construction, please visit the division during this important construction registration drive. Remember to bring a valid ID, resume, and a copy of your diploma or certificate. Come prepared. Pre-registration is also strongly encouraged, and this can be done via the division's social media pages, where you can access the QR code for registration form as well. Available vacancies include carpenter, steelworker, reinforcing steelworker, bricklayer, construction finisher, plumber, electrician, and structural steelworker. Attendees will have the chance to make a strong first impression with the representative of the company who are actively scouting talent for the immediate and future employment. On another note, with regard to ethical business practices, VSI would like to once again let the public know to please, especially those in the business community, any mass employment termination or closure must follow proper channels in accordance to the dismissal ordinance. While mutual termination are sometimes permissible without formal approval, we strongly recommend employers to consult with the Division of Labor Affairs to ensure clarity and compliance. We must protect the right and dignity of every worker and employer in St. Martin. These were all the notices. Yes, these were all the notices for this week, and I look forward for any questions from the media.
Thank you, Minister Brugge, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Thank you for joining us. We now move over to the question and answer session, and Bibi Hatshaw of SMA News, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ralaika. Good morning. I'd like to ask for the Prime Minister, please. Prime Minister, some months ago, when the budget was debated in Parliament, the members of Parliament voted on a motion for a relief for consumers of GEBE.
Yep.
Also, there were a lot of discussion on the TOT that is added on the bills of from the oil with fuel clause. With fuel clause, the diesel from Sol to GEBE, there's a TOT that's added, which even the chairman of Parliament said it was illegal. Where are we on this? Where is the relief, and what is government doing exactly about not passing on the TOT to the consumers, because already they are paying TOT?
Yes. As I have explained, we took the opportunity on the basis of the motion to see how we're going to actually have an overview in exactly how is this expense of the electricity and water consumption, how is this actually being calculated. For that idea, we hired in the BTP, Bureau Telecommunicatie and Post from St. Martin. They had a good working and have a good working relationship with the BTP from Curaçao. The BTP from Curaçao became the RAC, and that is a regulatory agency for Curaçao that has the experience of supervising and regulating fuel prices and electricity and water prices. So they came together, and I had already 3 session meetings with them, and the agreement is that on the 22nd of this May, they will come with the suggestions and ideas about proposals to GEBE via also all stakeholders involved in this, for us to have a indication of how we should give the instruction at the end, leading to a deduction of the consumer's price of electricity and water. So the 22nd, we're going to get the end report. 22nd of May, we're going to get the end report. It was a quite tedious and difficult mission, because actually we had to get access to the organization administration of GEBE, for example. We had to have encounters with the harbor for the throughput fee, for example. How is that calculated? We had to have some meetings with the SOL also, actually internally in the TIAT, in government also with the Minister of Finance. We had to have encounters and meetings and cooperation from 7 Seas also. So it's very easy to say, okay, let's do it. The moment you decide you want to present a proposal to the GEBE, it has to be well-founded, based on investigation, research, that the moment you say it, you know what your arguments are for you to sit on the table with those instruction and indication. So we're going to receive the information definitively the 22nd of May. And from there on, a letter will go to GEBE with the concrete suggestions and instructions that we have as government, with the end purpose, of course, to see how we can mitigate the price of electricity and water for the people of St. Martin. That is where we're standing now.
All right. So based on what you just told me, all the researches have been done.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, the 22nd, the report is expected. So how
To me?
to you? Yes.
Yes.
So how soon do we expect an instruction going to GEBE?
Oh, so tomorrow already, the day after tomorrow, I have to leave to Curacao. So it's going to take me a week time and in between, of course, a lot of work will be done on my mission to Curacao. I will come back on that. But it's difficult because if I say something now, everybody is going to, of course, focus on that date. But it will be as soon as possible. And in the month of June, there will be proposals for GEB and all stakeholders that contribute to a price of energy and water for the people of St. Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Bibi. Emma Lee of Island Nature Radio, you have the floor.
Good morning. My question is for the Minister of VSA. Good morning. So I've asked a number of times if you've had the opportunity to familiarize yourself with the SAHA legislation. Are you now familiar with the SAHA legislation?
Still busy with it. Still busy diving into it as we speak. Actually, the team is upstairs in the office waiting for me to return for us to continue diving into it. An update that I can give you pertaining to that is that tomorrow I have been invited also to the SER in order for me to the second part of the financial aspect of it that would be also presented to the SER before they continue with their screening or their approval or their conclusion of the SAHA.
Just for clarity, more specifically, have you read the full legislation yourself now?
I am busy with it. I haven't completed it as yet. I'm busy with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We now move on to the second round. Bibi, you have the floor.
I'll move on back to the Prime Minister. I'm sorry. Prime Minister, do you know if the emergency generators, if the payments are up to date based on the agreement that were signed by the late Troy Washington? I think yourself was involved in the agreements that were signed with the emergency generators. Are the payments up to date? And as we continue, I'd like to ask you another question. Yesterday, I think it was, Sol decided to close all gas stations because there was some confusion with price control, the price or the increase of fuel price or whatever. All gas stations were closed. I personally contacted the Minister of TIAT. She reached out to them, and then shortly after, there was some press release that was issued. What I'd like to know is that Sol being the only distributor of fuel on St. Martin right now, actually most of the stations are Sol. Can somebody tell us if there's any form of stockpiling that exceeds 30 days? Has there been anyone in government, and I know it's not your ministry, but as Prime Minister, this is an emergency situation. When gas stations decide to close down because of increase of prices, then yeah. Is anyone there to check and to see if they had exceeded their 30-day that they had, because every 30 days they refill gas. Has anyone checked to see if the prices matches what they're giving? Because TNT, which is Trinidad and Tobago, the fuel prices there is always higher. But if you check, since December, it's been declining. But here on St. Martin, it's the contrary. So I'd like to know if you had looked into this.
Coming first to the first question about the generators. As you know, we got a loan from the Netherlands to purchase the generators. That is already arranged. That money has been received. There were no conditions related to the loan. I'm going to repeat it every time again. The only two conditions for the loan is the 25 years payback and 2.43% interest on the loan. You will never get this condition on the international capital market. That's one. One other condition that was presented to us is that we requested, because of a request from GEBE to the government of St. Martin, that they wanted assistance and actually technical assistance to guide the process of ordering the generators, guiding the process of transportation of the generators, and actually guiding the whole process of actually accommodating the 3 huge generators, each of 9 megawatt, being together 27 megawatts. For that to happen, you have to realize that you have to actually reorganize your whole energy plant to accommodate these 3 huge generators. And actually, you have to combine it also with your future vision that you have, how you are going to organize your whole energy plant. So it's not just organizing to purchase the generator and just back them up in the back garden of GB. No, it's a whole concept organization to see how this has to work. And because of that, we are busy. I have an energy committee that is guiding the process of the loan part to GEBE. They are busy also with GB already, negotiating the terms of references. For example, how are we going to order, where are we going to order the generators. That is all. It has to go in bidding, of course. You can't just like that, just go to one supplier. You have to contabiliteitslandsverordening. You have to adhere to your responsibility and your transparency in choices too. And further, you have to make sure that it's well organized, and for that also, they are also involved with GB to actually recruit a technical assistant as the one actually responsible for that purchase project of these 3 generators. Once that process is done, the generators are going to be purchased and they're going to be installed. Realize, I said it always, the moment you order the generators until they are at place and functional, it's going to take 1.5 to 2 years. And because I realize that, I'm actually constantly in contact with that energy committee and GEBE for them to actually keep the cadence in it for us to be able to order these generators as soon as possible. But it's a very complex, it's about the financing, it's about the deal between government and GB, it's about purchasing of the generators, it's about accommodating the technical assistant, and there's more going on. Is, of course, we are busy now at this particular moment accommodating the C-suite level of GEBE. So there is a lot of things parallel going on, and of course we have to focus for GEBE to parallel with this, focusing on renewable green energy for the future of St. Martin. And I realize what I have done since I'm in government. We had an energy crisis with instability of supply of energy. I have been able to stabilize the grid. There is still a challenge outside there. It's not to have a stable grid that we have now, but stability can continue if you have sustainability of your grid now. And what we have to work on now is sustainability for the nearby future, for guarantee of constant energy supply for the people of St. Martin. And that's why I'm constantly in contact with the Energy Committee and also with GB, knowing that I did my part. I got what you wanted from me, that is the technical assistance conditions. We got almost $1 million for that. I told them, I have it for you. On the other side, they wanted financing for the generators. I got it too for them. We brought back the stability for the country in energy supplies with all the generators. Then in a rapid phase, we ordered for the country. And now it's over to GEBE to cooperate with us, and that they're doing that for us to make sure that we accelerate this process as soon as possible, for us to get it going, for us to get to the phase of sustainability of energy. And next to that, as I said, to make sure that we develop also renewable energy for country St. Martin.
Prime Minister, thank you for that update on the purchase of the 3 generators.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you about is the containerized generators that you are referring to, the stability that you brought back. There were agreements made. Some of those containerized generators are on lease. What
Yeah.
I'm asking you, if the agreements are being maintained, are the payments up to date? But I thank you for the information on the 3 new generators, which I'm
Okay.
aware of.
Okay.
What I'm asking you about is the containerized generators that we have.
Yeah. We are shareholders, and the information that I have now as shareholder, respecting the regulations of corporate governance, the payments are at par with the containers. That is the information that I have. I'm not the one, a shareholder, that have direct insight on the financial administration because of corporate governance. I'm a shareholder. Between me and the executive board of the GEBE, you have also the supervisory board. So if I want to know something, I'm not even going to the managerial level of the company. I'm going to the supervisory board, and then I'm depending on their goodwill also for them to go back to the executive board to get the right information. But so far, I know actually the financial obligations we had in the beginning when we had this intense crisis, we have complied with the financial obligations we had for the containerized generators. Pardon? The Sol one, I have to be very honest with you. It is a very technical, detailistic question that you ask me about. Is there somebody there to control it, and has that person been yesterday there? I'm the Minister of General Affairs and Prime Minister. That specific detail about that question, unfortunately, I'm not informed about that in a way that I can give you a reliable answer on that.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Emil?
Good morning, Prime Minister. So first, a clarification question. There was an article by the CFT about St. Martin's debt to GDP ratio and about the impact of bullet loans. Can you explain the loan from the Netherlands, between the government and the Netherlands for GB? You mentioned an interest rate, but you didn't mention the payment terms. Over what period of time? And is this another bullet loan, or are there monthly, annual payments, and that's incorporated in the budget of St. Martin? Mm-hmm. So that's my clarification question. And my second question is about hurricane season. Yep. You are head of the EOC. In the past, following Hurricane Irma, there were quite some discussions about how the EOC functioned, and there were some recommendations made about perhaps changing the structure a little bit, especially in particular regarding hurricane passes. I know government's in the process of issuing those new passes, but there was conversation about perhaps different levels of passes. Are those things that you've looked into as we're entering the hurricane season?
Yes, coming back to the first question about the loan, as I said, there are evident agreements made about this loan. 25 years, 2.43%. It's included in our budget, and there is focus, of course, to meet the obligations of repaying the loan. So that is arranged also, it's in our budget. Yes, we have to, of course. Coming now to the hurricane passes, it's every year again a discussion about hurricane passes. And at a certain moment, I'm getting personally a lot of requests for hurricane passes because it's very attractive to have a hurricane pass to hang around and see what's going on the streets after a catastrophe for the country. So I have my opinion about hurricane passes, and coincidentally this afternoon I have my first, it's not actually the first, but the first actually a meeting because of the initiation of this new Atlantic hurricane season. I have with the ESFs, I have a huge meeting this afternoon in which we're going to go through the issues, challenges of each ESF group and make sure that we are prepared for hurricane. Personally, as head of the Emergency Operations Center, I am going to make sure that we will not hand out emergency passes in abundance. So at a certain moment, everybody wants a hurricane pass, and I think that is going to cause a lot of more chaos and confusion on the streets. And I will be very critical in handing out hurricane passes if the whole EOC, inclusive me as head, doesn't see the urgency, the necessity, and that specific contribution of that specific person to have a hurricane pass for moving around after a catastrophe or hurricane. We have to ask ourselves, are we doing this just to be outside there, to hang out and to see what's going on? Or are we really using this hurricane pass because it's significantly going to contribute to actually restoring order and actually rebuilding on the short term what has to be done after a hurricane, as whoever passes at that particular moment. So we are going to be very critical with giving out hurricane passes this year, because I do not see the additional value of giving a lot of people that I think should not or would not have a significant constructive contribution to help the society back after the passing of a hurricane, for example.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Emil. We now go on to the third round. Bibi, you have the floor.
I'll have the Minister of VSR, please. Minister, thanks for the news flashback. All the news that you announced is news that's passed a week ago, but I thank you for the flashback. Just last week, Turning Point, Dr. Maku sent out a notification on young children as young as 8, 9 years old inhaling household products and the damage and some of the issues that they are facing with students. What have you done as the Minister of Health, along with even mental health, because they are having students or children that have to go to this facility also, to deal with that matter that just recently came out? I didn't hear anything about that. Also, you also mentioned there is a lot of new mental health cases. Has government provided any subsidy or any assistance to MHF so that they can deal with the extra amount of people that they now have to deal with? And how friendly it is at MHF for possible patients to get in? I can tell you I was there this week, and some of the questions that I was asked, I can't even repeat it. You know, I went there to take someone, and it wasn't easy. And the person's a known person to MHF. What about the unknown? Have government addressed these issues with MHF?
Okay. I'll start with the last one. I'm not too familiar with the procedures when someone is being admitted to it. So I don't know what exact questions was asked. However, when it comes to the service aspect of it, we are busy with Trimbus. So we're talking about from the time the person is identified, if it has mental issues, straight through until their healing process. We are busy with Trimbus to help us create a system that goes a lot more smoother and that's also more effective for the people of St. Martin. So that would be the answer that I can provide at this current moment pertaining to that. With regard to funding, that was also a question that was brought to me in Parliament. There was one of the past ministers, Minister Jansen Webster. She allocated several funds for the mental health facilities. Unfortunately, when I came in, I did not receive it. Wasn't in the draft over documents, and also I wasn't aware of it until it was brought just a little bit prior to Parliament meeting. I immediately asked my policy advisor to look into it. We managed actually to find out exactly that what happened. Actually, it was passed in CoM, but there was an advice that had to be followed up with. But unfortunately, that was not done. However, we have, in the meantime, yesterday I got word that we have actually made that transfer to mental health, which is 1.3, I believe, or 1.4. I'm not too sure about the amount. that was transferred to mental health in order to assist them there with their challenges that they're having. And again, we are actively busy dealing with the mental health situation. As you, as the public also know, I've made it public that we deal the soft component is Strimbos, but we're also dealing with NRPB to deal with the new building. And one thing I will say is that I have intention next week, God Spare Life. Yeah, next week, God Spare Life, that I will be giving I will start to give a quarterly update pertaining to the hospital and the mental health project moving forward. The other question pertaining to the incident that you said.
Talking about little children, just last week, the director of Turning Point, Dr. McCoo, sent out a circular about young children that is still posted on my site. Inhaling household products, even nail polish, nail remover, and the side effects that they're having.
Okay.
What is being done to address that issue?
Well, thank you for. Well, I haven't heard about it. That's the first time I'm hearing about it. I will check to see if anyone from our department is doing anything about it. But definitely, I will get back to you with regard to if something was done. I'll get back to you if something was done, and if it's not, we'll definitely make sure that something is done about it. I will touch base with also. It's Turning Point, you said. I will touch base with Turning Point as well. I have a direct line with her.
Thank you, Minister Bruch. Emil?
Minister, can you update us on what government's current debts to SZV and APS are? I mean, they're substantial. And since we're in conversations with the Ministry of Finance about, again, debt to GDP ratio, my understanding is these debts to SZV and APS, let's say, are in the ballpark combined of about 100 million guilders. Are these debts converted into a loan agreement? Is government paying interest? Are there payment terms? How is government addressing in a structural way these outstandings?
Okay, with regard to, I don't have the information pertaining to the debt for APS. I would have to look that up and give that to you at a later date. With regard to SZV, yes, we do have a structural payment system for SZV. We have recently also injected an additional, I believe it's $1 million. We have recently injected an additional $1 million to SZV in order to assist with some of the shortcomings of paying for example, the general practitioners, the psychologists, and those type of things. So we're actively busy actually trying. We have a structural payment system already, but we're actually doing extras in order for us to try to reduce the debt that is owed to SZV.
But is the debt to SZV formalized in some sort of a loan agreement, and is there interest being paid on the money that government owes to SZV? Because SZV has to pay its bills even though government doesn't pay, so it's advancing money out of its own savings to cover government's failure to pay, and they should receive interest on the money that's owed to them. So is there a formal loan agreement, and is there interest being paid on that money?
To my knowledge, no. But let me also get back to you with that particular question, just to make sure that we are make sure that we're good.
Okay, thank you, BB. You have the floor. We have 8 minutes left, so please make it quick.
Then I only have one.
Go ahead.
Minister, a couple months ago, there were some complaints, allegations, all kinds of things regarding sexual harassment. You said that was being investigated. Since then, it went quiet. Can you give us an update as to where that is?
According to me, the last thing I understand, the investigation has finished. I have not received a report, anything as yet. I'm not too sure if the Prime Minister did, but I can also inquire how far that is as well. The relative departments took care of that, actually. So I'm going to inquire that as well for you.
I'm holding you to getting back to us. It's a lot of things you have to get back to us with, Minister, because we really didn't get answers from you today.
No, that's okay. I have no problem with that.
Thank you, BB. Emil, you have the final question.
For Minister of VSI, as our Prime Minister knows, as a doctor, when you look at the health of patients, treating patients for critical care after something has presented itself is very different than wellness. making sure that your patients are healthy. As you've addressed the issue of mental health, most of your conversation has been about crisis, about when things reach a stage where individuals need to be committed to mental health or that they require some sort of intervention. What I'm not hearing about is this is an indication about the overall mental health of the community. Where's the effort in terms of mental health wellness, in terms of making sure that people are happy and emotionally adjusted, emotionally aware? I'm not seeing that effort in your discussions.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. It may not have been in my discussions, included in my discussions, but it definitely is something definitely that we are practicing. And I use my ministry as an example. When coming in, one of the first things that we highlighted that there was a lot of issues with personnel, and one of the things that we did, for example, was we hired a psychologist, for example, so that the personnel can actually have access. They don't have to wait on long lines. We are busy also with certain other steps also to address their well-being and also the preventative aspect to make sure that they don't get to the stage that they actually need to be admitted to mental health. So we are busy applying certain steps and strategies in order to address those issues. I can also, if you would like, also with my other questions that I have to get back to the press with, I can also include some of the steps in detail of what we have done internally in government and externally in the public pertaining to that as well, considering that my other notices did not include it.
Thank you, Minister Brug. Thank you, members of the media. This does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. For rebroadcast, tune into stmartingov.org, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and YouTube channel Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Relika Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.